You went on a trip and spent more than planned, and you don't even know where the money went? This usually means that you got hit by at least one of these hidden costs while traveling. So here's 15 unexpected costs that quietly drain your budget so you can avoid them and stop getting surprised. Some of these are gonna be quite obvious in hindsight, but a lot of them are sneaky and they do add up fast. First off, costs that hit you even before you leave. Let's kick it off with the first one, not considering the cost of your transportation to the airport. Now sure, some of you might have the privilege of a friend or a family member dropping you off at the airport, but many of us are gonna have to get there either by bus or by train, or by car, in which case the parking fees at the airport can stack up to a considerable sum. And fix this, plan this into your budget early, and then compare parking versus public transport. Next up on the list, overlooking the cost of a required e-visa or an ESTA, or also overpaying on third-party websites that offer you help with the visa but just charge more money. So when applying for a visa, always check official government websites first. Something similar to this is travel vaccinations. Some countries do require them, and you pay out of your pocket for most of these. Worst case, you don't even check and you lose hours at the airport or at the foreign clinic, and it ruins your first day. A fix for this, check entry requirements early and plan the cost. Now to the money traps. Let's start off with falling for bad exchange rates, especially at airports. I know that it's quite tempting to try and go ahead and get the local currency as fast as possible. However, the airport exchanges are just gonna give you horrendous rates. So rather than doing that, try to find a proper cash exchange house somewhere outside the airport somewhere else, or maybe even just ask a hotel whether they offer cash exchange at fair rates. For this, it's important for you to know roughly the exchange rate between your currency and the local one, just to avoid getting ripped off. And also a small extra tip, watch out for fake or too high kind of service fee scams at the local exchanges. To avoid most of these problems, it would be advisable to, instead of exchanging currencies, rather withdraw local currency from an ATM. However, there's a couple of things that you need to watch out for here also. Firstly, always try to find bank branded ATMs from local banks, as these are gonna be the ones that give you the lower and better fees compared to no-name ATMs that just say ATM or cash machine. Another important thing, while actually withdrawing at the ATM, decline any offer of the ATM converting the local currency into yours, because most ATMs are gonna give you way worse rates than your bank will. So always choose withdrawing in the local currency and let the bank do the converting instead of the ATM. Same goes for paying by card, by the way. If you're asked, for example at a restaurant, whether you'd like to pay in euros or in the local currency, always choose the local one. And a small extra tip, when withdrawing, rather than going for many small withdrawals, go for fewer, bigger withdrawals, because the fees oftentimes are gonna account per withdrawal. And the last cost related to banking. Check up front whether your card has foreign transaction fees. Many banks will charge you an extra 1 to 3% on payments in foreign countries and currencies. However, there are a couple cards that have 0% foreign transaction fees, so if you can get your hands on one of those, it'll probably be worth your time. If this is already saving you money, hit like, it helps the channel a lot. Now to accommodation and food surprises. Moving on to the next one, this is gonna apply especially to renting a car, but might also affect you with hotels or Airbnbs. Some rentals and hosts want a deposit up front or money on hold on your card for potential damages on the car or the room. And even though this isn't directly a cost since you get the money back when everything is returned in good condition, this might still be relevant for some people, as having up to multiple hundreds of euros on hold could become a problem if you don't even have that much money on you in the first place. So find out whether a deposit is needed up front, and perhaps try to find offers that don't require one. Next up on the list is tourist tax/city tax. When booking a accommodation, you pay the price per night up front, but if you don't read the description, you might miss something important. In some countries, hotels and Airbnbs have to collect what's called a tourist tax, and usually that is paid per person, per night, and on arrival. This one can catch you by surprise because basically you think you've already paid for your stay, but then the hotel charges you either at arrival or at checkout. So make sure to look out for this in the description of the offer, and if it's unclear, just contact them and ask them whether the tourist tax is included in the price or not. Similar to this, in some countries you might have to pay extra for electricity or AC usage. For example, I've seen on Airbnb a couple of offers in Thailand where the description said that energy usage is charged X amount of Thai baht per kilowatt hour. Now this might make a seemingly really cheap stay a little less affordable, but to avoid getting surprised by a check at the end of your stay, watch out for things like electricity not included, energy not included, or X amount of whatever currency per kilowatt hour. And once again, in case anything is unclear, just contact your host and ask them whether electricity and AC are included, and if they're not, make sure to agree on a fixed rate upfront. Also, best case scenario, you take a photo of the counter at your arrival and before checkout, just so you can confirm your usage yourself to avoid getting ripped off. And if the host isn't comfortable with this or his answers are cryptic, it's a clear red flag. Now, when eating at restaurants, check your bills for a service fee. In some places you're actually automatically charged the service fee or something similar, which is handled basically like a tip. So if you spot it on the bill, think twice about tipping heavily, because you might be tipping double. In Thailand, for example, some menus might put up prices with a plus, which means that the end price of the dish is going to be higher, usually 17%. 10% of that is a service fee and 7% is tax. So you're going to be paying more, and the tip is basically already included in that in the service fee. Or in the UK, for example, there's this thing called the discretionary service charge of 10 to 15%, which is added to your bill automatically. Basically, it's a tip for the workers for the good service. So if you see that, you don't really have to tip extra unless you really want to, but also you can ask to remove that charge in case the service was poor. Okay, we've almost got it, just a couple more budget details left. Next up are tolls and vignettes. If you plan on getting to a destination by car, don't forget the price you have to pay to use the foreign country's highways. Similar to this, parking can cost you quite a lot, especially in city centers, so either plan it into your budget or find an accommodation that has free parking to avoid the hassle. Now to the flights. Especially if you're gonna be flying for many hours, you'll have to buy water and food for the flight. Some airlines might include free meals, but others will charge you for food and beverages, so flights that seemed really cheap at first might become costlier than expected. Next, your phone's roaming bill or an eSIM. Depending on your plan, you'll probably be paying considerable fees for using your mobile data or even just SMS in a foreign country. Therefore, an eSIM might actually be the cheaper option, but it's still an expense to consider. Second to last point, beach spendings. And no, I'm not talking about cocktails, I'm talking about parcels and sunbeds. Depending on the destination, these can become really expensive, so find out how much you'll be paying and whether buying your own umbrellas and finding a free beach space would be worth it more. And last but not least, meds and toiletries that you either forgot at home or lost. Don't forget to watch out for the airport rules on how much, for example, shampoo or perfume you can take on board with you. Worst case, you've got too much on you, and then it's simply taken away and thrown out. So not only do you lose the stuff that you have, you also have to buy it all again at the destination because you need it. So make sure that you forget nothing and adhere to flight rules. Keep these things in mind when budgeting your next trips, and you will not only save money, but also have a much calmer experience. If you want more tips on how to make your travels more affordable and more comfortable, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Now, if you want an alternative to low price flights, you can watch this video, or you can choose this video. See you in the next one.